Well, it's us again. It's been a while since we did a video. Um, Felt kind of like this might be the time to post another.
It's been a while.
Yeah. Um, Hope everybody's doing well. Things are intense, obviously. That's why we're doing this. What came to mind for me today, well, actually, it's something I've been thinking about for a while, and it has to do with this, well, obviously, this process that we're in and of what we all like to call ascension. Uh, it's a totally normal and natural process.
It seems unusual because we've been isolated and cut off from it for so long.
Yeah.
The whole idea of ascension seems really bizarre to most people, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I'm trying to gather my thoughts here, make sure I put this together in an intelligible way. Um, I think, at least I know for me, there's been this an idea that transmutation or change can happen without discomfort. And the thoughts I've been having recently are, I suppose maybe some could, but the significant change, the deep change, the change that's really being not only called for but required right now, will bring disturbance, and there's no way
So,
around that.
Yeah.
Um, and so, what I was thinking is that my experience with disturbance and change in my life up to this point has been that I didn't want it. I didn't want the disturbance, but yet I wanted to experience heaven on earth. But I didn't want to change. And so I think that kind of makes sense that that's not possible to have heaven on earth and then not be willing to change to accommodate it. Because heaven on earth, as we all know, is not some conceptual state that's just going to land here and then it'll be
On top of it.
yeah, and it's some external coming of heaven on earth without it coming through us. Because if that was possible for that to happen, it would be destroyed very quickly by all of us because of our state of consciousness of not being the aperture through which it happens. So what's going on right now? I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels this way, that there's discomfort in my ego, the patterns of habitual function to which I've identified to a great extent, whines, complains, likes to criticize, complain, and blame. Sometimes it's self, and most of the time others or outside sources.
But if you're really spiritual, you don't do it to them, you just do it to yourself secretly.
Yeah. So, do you have anything you want to add to this? Because I'm still working on
Yeah.
gathering my thoughts here, because this to me I think it's a critical topic right now.
It is, because I think what you're pointing to is you referred to the ego. The ego it's not like there's one ego. it Everybody has their own unique brand, and it's a combination, it's a conglomeration of all kinds of factors. All of the heredity that you have in your genetic makeup from your parents and your parents' parents and the parents' parents' parents, and the lineage goes on. And then also your own little unique brand that you've added to it in your life experience of a sense of identity that isn't actually based in the truth of who you are. It's a false sense of self. And that's the thing that is squirming. And in the creative process, or in this ascension that's taking place right now, you talked about discomfort. There's no way around it. As a matter of fact, you said it earlier today in our conversation,
Right.
where I don't think there will ever be a time where we won't experience discomfort. Now the difference is, are we the thing being acted upon, or are we the cause? Are we the reality that's untouched by it all? The thing that's uncomfortable, that which is uncomfortable, is our capacity, is our consciousness. At many different levels,
And
our
the physical,
capacities.
and
the
our
physical
bodies,
body.
well, that's
Yeah.
part of our consciousness. So the thought I was having is that I tried to use some props, but this little coaster, for anything to be transmuted or changed to a different frequency or a different level, especially something higher, some force comes to bear or is brought to bear,
Yeah.
or something like that is brought to bear on something.
Yeah.
Right. So for this wood to be transmuted, the one thing that is kind of the easy thing to think about is you just put a match to it, right, and it'll start burning. So some energy or force is being brought to bear on this so that it changes, and it can't happen without that energy, that force, that disturbance, because this form has to be disturbed to turn into something else.
That's a good point, yeah.
So why would my capacity of consciousness and which includes my body, obviously, but why would it be separate from that energy or that force, so that we can actually have the higher state of experience? Because we're not going to be able to have the higher state of experience without discomfort. Now, the habit has been, in my experience, and I've observed in many other people, the ego doesn't like discomfort.
No.
It doesn't like it doesn't like the pain. It whines, it complains, but there's no way to avoid it. So, avoidance activities, I think we've talked about some of this before.
But it's good to revisit it.
Yeah, sure. Like what I used to use was alcohol. At one point I used marijuana. Maybe sleeping too much. And there's an endless list of ways to avoid, or try to avoid,
Yeah, you can.
the discomfort, but there's no fix for it. The ego thinks it's going to be able to get around. A situation presents itself in your life. This thing, it presents itself in your life.
I don't want to look at that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And so you try to I'll get around it somehow. But when you come to, so to speak, it's still there, and you can put it off your whole life, or try to. But eventually, it's all still there. There's no way around it. So the thing to do is to face the stuff.
Yeah, embrace it. Embrace the changes that are coming. And frankly, the only way to get through it is to develop a sense of self that is not identified with that which is being acted upon. You talked about a force needing to come to bear upon that which needs to be changed. It's been really popular. Excuse me. It's been really popular for people to talk about the fifth dimension, right? Like we're gonna ascend into the fifth dimension. The fifth dimension is, in fact, already a part of our experience, but it's not online in this world here. It's been cut off. It's been separated. The fifth dimensional vibration is a higher vibration than the fourth and the third dimension. It's a higher frequency. If that frequency is to come into this experience, into our experience here in the earth, the earthly aspect of our experience is going to be acted upon by the higher frequency, like you were saying.
That's a fact.
I like to use the analogy. You use the match and lighting it on fire, and that's what it feels sometimes like, we're being burned. If we're identified with that which is being transmuted, or that which is ascending, I like the analogy of like the microwave. You put it in your food in there, and these vibrations act upon things and heat it up. So that vibration, that fifth dimensional frequency, is being introduced here. How that's
Whether we like it or not.
Yeah, whether we like it or not, and how that's actually happening, I have no idea, but it's happening, and from the truth of who we are, this is a wonderful, wonderful thing. It's outstanding. We are, from the standpoint of the truth of ourselves, we're delighted, we're excited, we're thrilled. It's that part of us, our ego, the false sense of self, that's been created because of this 3D experience. And again, all of the other higher dimensional aspects of our being have been cut off, and the cutoff happens at the heart level.
Yeah, like when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Right? And it's happened to everybody. There aren't some people like, oh, poor me, I had such a bad childhood. Everybody has had stuff happen that was unfair when you were a kid. You were punished for things that weren't fair, treated poorly.
Yeah.
We all are raised and have been wounded. But those wounds, by the way, are deliberate, but not necessarily because of your parents. There are, I think you guys know this, there are dark forces at work here that have controlled this realm, this earth, this dimension for a very long time for their own purposes. Yeah. And that is to live off the suffering of people. Yeah. And so that's why, and they work in the unseen realms, and they do it a lot through our parents.
And they also have, by the way, they're in the unseen.
Well, real quick, but they do it through our parents, and maybe not as much now, possibly, as when we were young. Of course, I don't know, some of you might be really young and still going through having your parents treat you poorly for no reason. But I just want to throw that in there. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the unseen, they're in the unseen. They because of our eyes, the way we see presently, we can't see other ranges of frequency of light.
Like the fourth dimension.
Like the fourth dimension, the fifth dimension, etc. So right now we see almost just purely three-dimensionally for the most part. So these beings being invisible isn't really a weird thing. It's not like, yeah, that's really spooky, weird, that's spooky out there stuff. It's like, no, they actually exist. We just don't see them with our eyes right now.
Some of you might.
Yeah, some of you might. I don't. I feel them. I can feel them, and I can feel their presence, and I can feel them trying to manipulate things emotionally, anger, anxiety, fear.
Have you ever had? I'm sure you have. This is a silly question. You're just going about your day, your normal day, and all of a sudden some weird feeling comes into your experience, and all of a sudden you start feeling bad about stuff.
Yeah.
For no reason. All of a sudden you just start feeling bad and angry or irritated or something. Well, there's a good chance that it's not you. It could be go ahead. It could be the influence of these nefarious beings, and it's not to be scared of them, because they can't really control you unless you're willing to be controlled by their influence.
And their influence tends to be primarily fear and shame. Those are the two big motivators for the darkness. And the darkness, by the way, has allies in the 3D world. There are people in the 3D world who use fear and shame, but I would say predominantly fear is one of the major tools of motivation they use to prod people.
Fear, but shame's big in there too.
Sure,
those two are huge. Because if you're feeling shame, most people, when they're feeling shame, it's an awful feeling, and you start feeling shame, you're going to be afraid to let anybody know that you feel shame.
Yeah,
there's a lot of fear around it.
Yeah. So the dark side has allies in the 3D world, and there are people who have been in control in this world, and we can call them the cabal or the deep state, and their principal tools of manipulation for people are fear and shame. And they can also they attack a lot, they criticize and attack, they try to divide and separate. So there are allies in the 3D world, and that's why we need to be
allies for the dark side.
The dark side. They are actually embodying darkness themselves. They are instruments of the darkness.
I wouldn't want to be them.
I wouldn't want to
what's
be
coming
them.
is
Yeah,
not what's not coming. It's coming. It's right now. It's happening. But
yeah, I wouldn't want to be them. And so we have the choice and we have the opportunity to get conscious about what's going on in our experience. We do not have to serve fear. We do not have to serve shame. We do not have to embody those things when they pop up in our feeling realms. When we feel things like that, we do have the control. We have the choice to say, I will not express that. Does that mean that the feeling immediately goes away? No. You might still feel the fear. You might still feel the shame. But you do not have to bow down and worship that, which is darkness. It's not true.
And the thing is when those feelings come up, you know how this works. They feel so you feel so justified that it's real. I have to be afraid, or I'm ashamed. It's so real. Or I feel like I'm no good. It's so real. I have to honor that. No, you don't.
No, you don't. It's not true.
It's not true of you, because who we are.
Magnificent.
We are magnificent beings of light. We are individualized rays of Creator.
Yep.
And we're not flawed.
No.
The flawed sense of self has been deliberately created and maintained to control us, to keep us in a place of suffering.
Yep.
It's a total lie. And you know what's going on right now? Creator, I say creator because you can't just say it's like a male figure or a female figure, because creator is everything. But creator's coming back into this realm, in particular into human consciousness, saying, "This is my classroom. This is my place now. You guys? What's been going on here? It won't be allowed anymore." So the teacher's up at the front of the classroom taking roll call. And he's asking each person, Greg, are you there? I'm here. Somebody else, Chuck, are you here? And Chuck may be like the roll calls to find out, who are you serving? Where do you stand? Because the time is getting short to be able to be on the fence and think you can continue to have reactions and that go to the dark side, where you're accusing, blaming, criticizing. People love to dump on Donald Trump right now.
Oh boy.
And that is so dishonest.
It is.
Because it has nothing to do with him. It has everything to do with me. And we need to each say that. It has everything to do with me and what I'm expressing. Am I expressing the kingdom of heaven, love, truth, blessing, forgiveness?
Yep.
All of that. And so the roll call's happening, and you can't sit on the fence and keep justifying these foul spirits, because I stay over there, I'm out.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Yeah,
we're going to be out, because this, Creator's coming back saying, this is mine.
Yep. Yeah.
And we were never created to be like that other,
yeah,
whatever you want to call it.
And we can, and sure, we can feel victimized by the fact that we've lived in this world and feel, the child in us that was wounded by our parents and stuff. There is still that feeling of being victimized. That's what the darkness likes to use, though. You see, that's why they did that. They damage you emotionally so that later in life they can manipulate you by pushing your buttons of fear, of shame, of feeling victimized, and then that pain that's been in your heart that you've been suffering with most of your life. The darkness can come along, push that button, and prod you into acting in the ways they tell you to act. Your pain and your shame and your fear and your hurt, if you'll just dump it on that guy or that woman or that circumstance, that'll take care of it. And that is so dishonest. So these are hard times. Okay, so this 3D experience that we've been having here, we've been cut off from the higher dimensional aspects of ourselves. Deliberately. And what has happened here is that this 3D world has become like rotting compost. And it's because you guys all know you may not know what compost is. Compost, for the most part, it's food. Yeah. It's foodstuffs that are left over, and you throw them out, and it's garbage, or you throw it down the disposal or whatever. But compost, for people who like to farm or garden, you take the compost and you start to recycle it. You put it into soil and it breaks down and heat comes to bear. And pretty soon that stuff is reincorporated into the natural creative process. But what happens if you have a bucket of compost or a big dumpster full of garbage and it never ever gets moved and it's left in the dumpster and you keep throwing crap in there over and over? What happens? It gets infested with bacteria and disgusting stuff and flies. And the thing that's interesting, that's what's happened to this 3D world. It's been cut off from that cycle, that natural cycle that would purify and clean this realm. But the darkness wants this to be disgusting because they love to feed off of it. They're like flies.
They love suffering.
They love
pain.
suffering and pain. And the longer they can keep us in that pain and suffering, they're happy with that because they love living in that kind of refuse. That was never meant to be the state here.
That's right.
Never.
Yep. That's so true. I'll bet, if I'm going to ask you a question, I'll bet the way you answer this, if you're going to be honest, are you a free agent and do you call the shots in your own life?
Yeah, good question.
Do you think you do? I would challenge you to examine how often your motivations are really what you really want,
Yeah.
or what you really want to do, or are you being manipulated by the dark side,
By fear.
by shame? And it seems like, well, of course there's fear and shame. Well, but it's not natural.
No.
It's not normal. That's not the way things were designed to be here. Like you were saying, this world, this 3D world, we're all indoctrinated into it, and this is normal. This is what life is. You go through your childhood, and your parents abuse you,
Yeah.
and they go to school, and you have friends, certain friends that you call your friends, but sometimes they can be pretty nasty, and they can hurt you too. And there's all of this and cliquish stuff that's going on, and then you get you go to school, you get a job, and you make money, and then you're supposed to get married, have a kid, and buy a car, get a house, buy TVs, buy phones, and then you sit back and you sit in your comfortable chair watching TV, drinking whatever is your favorite alcoholic beverage or escape device, because you're really unhappy, and you watch TV and you're really unhappy with your life, and you're fed up basically, and then the TV tells you what to do.
Yeah.
Oh, and you have
I'm unhappy.
Yeah, you're unhappy. So you got this compulsion in your life because it's natural
Yeah.
to want to be
Happy.
happy and a part
Yeah.
of creation, right?
Yeah.
So you have that compulsion. So you're watching TV, you're sitting in your easy chair, drinking your alcoholic beverage, feeling like,
Or smoking pot.
or smoking
whatever.
pot, and no judgment, because I've been through it. I
Yeah.
know what it's like.
Yeah.
We've all been there. And so you feel this, like, we feel it, and it's a kind of, sometimes it's almost an unnameable kind of a feeling,
Yeah.
like, I sure would like something nice to happen in my life. And you see a commercial on TV, and they show these happy people getting into a new car, or
Yeah.
these happy people taking this new drug, to take away your shingle. I don't know, whatever it is.
Not that there's anything
not
wrong
that
with
there's
it.
not that you don't want to
Yeah.
do something about that, but these commercials, then they speak to that little longing you've got in your heart,
Yeah.
about you know what? I am getting a little tired of that car I drive. That one that Matthew McConaughey makes that car look pretty nice. I think I'm going to get that one.
He looked pretty cool and pretty content and pretty happening.
And he looked magical, didn't
Yeah.
it? So
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. That's going to satisfy that longing I have for the natural longing that we have for being incorporated in creators' cycles of creation. So what happens is, in this 3D world, which has been deliberately created by the dark side to keep people stuck in the 3 dimensions, every time you have that compulsion to want to be a part of creation, it gives you, like, what'd you call
An
it?
out.
Or a menu.
A menu.
Here's your menu.
Yeah,
for
here's-
how to be happy in this world. And it's a pretty small menu.
And people, by the way, the menu's been made for us. And
Yeah.
it's like you have desires. Okay, here, let's look at the menu. Marriage, house, career. Let's see. Whatever it may be, traveling the world, whatever. It's like, not that there's anything wrong with any of those things.
No.
But the menu's been made up, and the menu is all about the 3D world.
That's
Here's
it.
the menu, the 3D world menu. And you, in order for you to be happy, in order for you to be fulfilled, these are the things, these are your choices. There are no other choices for happiness. And the only way that we will ever really know happiness is when the higher dimensional aspects of our own being can come online and find expression here. The 3D world cannot ever satisfy everything that wants to be, that you're longing for. A thing cannot satisfy that for which your heart is longing.
That's absolutely right. And so you're watching the commercial, you say, honey, let's go get a new car. So then you think, okay, how are we going to pay for that, right?
Yeah.
So
don't
somebody
care.
else is dictating to you, based on your income, how much fulfillment you can have.
Depending on how much access to the money you've got.
Yeah. So it's a created, deliberately created world, and it is like a prison.
It's a prison.
And yet we keep people keep cycling through this, raising their kids and getting them indoctrinated into this 3D world that goes around and around and around and around, and there's nothing new under the sun. I remember when I was growing up. Oh, we're going to do it different than
our
parents.
generation.
Our generation isn't going to do what the old fuddy-duddies did. We're going to bring something new. What did my generation do? We sold out to the 3D grid just like every generation before and every generation that's doing it now, except this is all coming to an end.
It is. It's all coming
Thank God.
Yeah, it's all coming to an end.
And so I'm kind of hogging.
I don't care.
I'm kind of
It's fine.
hogging the thing
You're
here.
speaking what I want to hear. So, it's fine.
So this same old round, does that sound familiar to you? The same old round. Damn it, every day is, I get so sick of this grind. It's the same every day, the same every day, the same every day. Go to work, make money, sell whatever, take the money home, buy stuff, but it never satisfies that longing
Yeah.
to be co-creating with the cosmos, because that's what we're supposed to be doing.
Yep. How many of you are like me or like us, and like a few other people that I'm aware of, are kind of getting to a point where I just don't really care about stuff anymore.
Yeah.
I used to really like football. I can watch about 5 minutes of it now. I used to be pretty much fanatical about a certain team. I don't care. Or I used to actually, some auto racing. I used to like Formula One racing or IndyCar or racing or that kind of thing. And it's like I can watch a few minutes of it. It's like I really don't care. I used to fly fish. I used to fish a lot. I'm kind of like, I don't care anymore. Golf. I used to watch golf like a fiend, and I watch all these guys getting rich on TV, and it's like they're making multi-million dollars, and it's like I'm like, so why am I watching these guys get rich? And I don't watching golf. It's like I'd rather play it, but it costs a lot of money. So it's that whole money thing again. It's that 3D world. It's this little circle that goes around.
We're all like these we're like these hamsters in a cage, and we got these whatever they are, these people who are pulling strings, central banks, the dark side.
Yeah.
The dark side, central banks, man, the money changers. They're the ones that are determining for you and for me and for all of us the way the world has been, what we can do, what we can't do, what we can have, how much fulfillment you can have. And it's all untrue.
And what's true and what isn't true. The news. If you follow the news now, man, you should turn it off, because they're
about
all of the news organizations right now, and probably by even saying this, if we get this posted on the on Google or on YouTube, it'll probably get censored. But the news is owned by the deep state. The news is owned by the darkness. They are propaganda machines who are telling everybody what's what, who to like and who not to like.
They tell you who to hate, and people go along with it blindly. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and it's like, so if you're watching TV, talk about a programming device. The TV has, and phones, and
computers.
video games.
And video games,
But be
yeah.
careful about the video games with kids, man. What subliminally is going on there, and not so subliminally anymore, with the war games, for crying out loud.
Yeah,
What
the
kind of...
violence on the
Yeah,
on
the
video
violence
game.
on video games. What are we programming our consciousness to want to do
Violence.
to handle our situations in life? Oh yeah, let's shoot somebody. Well, not real, just figuratively. It's the same thing.
The spirit that comes up in people when they're actually in these video games is the spirit of death.
Of death.
Killing.
If you can pull a trigger on a video game to shoot somebody, what's really inherently different about the spirit of that compared to doing it for real? I propose, or is that the right word?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. I propose that the video game industry is owned by the darkness.
It is.
Twitter, Facebook, Google,
YouTube.
YouTube, all of the social networks, the news, it's all owned by the dark side, and they're trying to control us using fear and shame and programming. So, man, this is getting interesting. I didn't know we'd be going down this road.
This is okay though, because this is what's really happening on the planet right now, and this is really what's coming to issue right now. Roll call is happening, and we're going to find out: are you with the light, or are you going to stand with the dark? It's that simple. If you stand with the darkness, you're going to be on your way out. You stand with the light, which means you're part of Creator, which is the only real reality, the only reality anyway.
Yeah.
So, where are we going with this now? I mean, we've really opened up some topics here, but
Yeah.
this is really the most important thing to me. And I know it is to my brother.
Yeah.
This is the most important thing because this world has been stolen from Creator, and we have not been able to have access to being co-creators with Creator because of this false world that has been created and controlling everybody.
Okay, so the thing I want to come back to now is, I mean, we've talked about all of the things that are going on, and we're hoping by doing this, you know, the term these days is popular is red pilling people. Hopefully saying some things that'll help you to become conscious or aware of what's going on in the world. Now, many of you may already be aware of this.
Hopefully that's the case, yeah.
There are a lot of people in the world that are called normies, and they're asleep at the switch. They're not awake yet.
They believe whatever
They
the
believe
TV
whatever they
tells
hear on
them.
TV or
Yeah.
whatever they read in the newspaper or whatever the Hollywood people are saying or whatever.
That's another
That's
incredibly corrupt area. All of them.
the music industry and Hollywood and all of that owned by the dark side.
Yep.
So, anyway, to bring it back to cases, this is about you. This is about me. It's not about Donald Trump. It's not about anybody else in your world who bothers you or ticks you off or whatever. It's about me, and it's about you. And what is really, and I want to emphasize this, what is really going on in your experience? What is factually controlling your life expression in the moment? Is it fear? Is it shame? Or is it love and blessing and thankfulness? You have a choice. You want a menu? You want the true menu?
The true
menu is Creator's menu of the spirits that are true of Creator. Love, truth, blessing, thankfulness, focusing on what's true.
Yep.
And those spirits are real, and we have a choice to express those spirits. We have a choice. We are not powerless. We can choose what we express. And that's what it comes down to. It comes down to that. It's that simple, it's that basic, and it's the roll call.
It's the roll call. And so what you just talked about is, like, if you have the question come up, so what am I going to do? Stay true to the true spirits. Love, blessing, forgiveness. Stay on that.
No matter how uncomfortable it feels.
Or how justified
That's the word I was
That's the
gonna
word.
say.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, how justified it feels to go to the other side, which is to go to criticism, accusation, and blame. And because when people do that, they want to blame and criticize. It's because there's a wound here, and it feels good to blame somebody to get it off of yourself. The thing we have to do is be honest and stop lying to ourselves about what's really happening in our own consciousness.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's happening,
And
and there's no
nothing-
way out of it.
there's nothing you
So
can
it's
do about
really
it.
coming up to roll call time. Where do you stand with the light, or are you going to stay on the dark side? That's up to you. It's
Yeah.
totally up to you.
Yeah, and
Now,
it comes down to cases. You're driving down the road and somebody cuts you off, and you honk your horn. The person flips you off.
what do you do?
What do you do? Do you feel justified in that guy? What an asshole! Or do you just say, Father or Creator or whatever you want to do, great Creator or whatever? I forgive them. I'm sorry for my reaction. I want to stay in love. I forgive them. Or what is it? What is it that's happening in the moment when things come up? Because it's got to get that real. Because those are the choices we're making as to where we're going to be as things continue to come to point.
And it's
Because
going to get more and more intense.
more and more intense.
And you're
So-
probably finding that.
yeah. So this isn't about condemning you or condemning anybody.
Or
This
no.
is about laying out the facts, and we want to make it clear as day about what the choice is, so that when the moments arrive,
And they
where
will.
you have a choice and you decide one moment, oh, I'm not going to honor the spirit of Creator. I want to express darkness and hate and condemnation. You keep doing that, pretty soon you've gone down that road so far. There's no way to get back, because things are getting intense. Things are coming to a point here, and it's the roll call is being made.
It's starting already. And we're all, whether you want to admit it or not, you hear it.
Yeah.
You hear it. And we
Yeah.
all hear it. It's up to us what we're going to do. The world that's coming, it's coming.
It's happening right now.
And it's changing, and it's going to change. And there's nothing human egos can do to stop it. There's nothing that the dark side can do to stop it, because the dark side's not even real anyway. It's the dark side is stolen principles of truth.
Yeah.
That they have been able to manipulate for a very short period of time. It may be thousands of years here, but in cosmic terms, that's a very short period of time.
Yeah.
And this thing's being wrapped up. The mop up is going to be underway here pretty quick, and we're going to be back to playing our parts as co-creators with Creator, because that's what we were created to do.
In the cosmos. And by the way, we have an expanded family throughout the whole cosmos.
Yep.
And when I say the cosmos, I don't even know what that entails, but it's huge and it's enormous.
big.
And we have a lot of nearby neighbors who are very loving, benevolent, wonderful beings. And it's the ones we have to be concerned about are the ones that we don't see right now.
And the two-legged type.
The
that happen
two-legged
to
types
be
who are
calling the shots.
servants of the darkness.
Yep.
So the thing that's the thing that's really, really vital right now is that we do this work. And also remember, there are those who are deliberately servants of the darkness, and as things come to point, they're going to start acting out in very overt and very destructive ways.
And it's going to be unfortunate for a lot of innocent people.
Yeah, you've got Antifa. You've got, that's just one example. You've got a lot of people who are very wounded people who are totally under the control of darkness, totally controlled by their pain, their shame, and their fear, mainly their pain, because they were probably at some point deeply and powerfully wounded and never were able to come through that or find help or find someone who would to love them and befriend them and help them heal. And so they are totally under the control of darkness. And then there are those who are not that group, but the people who are deliberately manipulating, deliberately misleading, deliberately trying to instill separation, deliberately trying to instill violence, deliberately trying to instill hate. Those are the people who are dangerous. And
Well, that's a lot of the Democrats.
Yeah.
It's the media.
it's the media.
Hollywood, a
Yeah.
lot of the music industry. I mean, a lot of the talk show hosts. I mean, come on, we got to start being honest with ourselves.
About the hate.
Listen to the spirit of what's going on.
It's
not
hate.
love, it's hate.
They're the ones talking about how other people are hating. They're the ones who
They're
are
projecting.
hating. They're projecting. They're the ones who are actually hating. So when that comes up, notice in yourself what's going on. Is it triggering pain in you? And they should be shot. They should be dead or whatever.
Hang
It's
them
like,
or whatever.
wow. So we need to step back and own our lives and own our consciousness. And it's going to be hard.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. It's going to take work. But the bottom line is there's no choice. This thing's coming to point.
This thing's coming to point, and there's energy being brought to bear, so that this represents the state of consciousness. For this to change, energy has to be brought to bear. Let's not be identified with that which is being transmuted, because it's not who we are.
No. And it's not just you that's being, this energy is you in the sense of your capacity that's being acted upon. It's trees, it's the animals, it's the grass, it's the whole planet,
The whole solar
the
system.
whole solar system. The energy is enormous, and it's massive. It's unstoppable,
And it's wonderful.
And it's wonderful, and it's high frequency, and it's going to lift this place up.
Yep.
And if we'll lift up those who are responsive to it, who love it, who want to align with that, and it will crush
Yeah.
anything that is not in alignment with it.
And the crushing is not being done by the light. The crushing is being done by your response to it.
Right. Your resistance to it or your openness to it.
See, yes.
So you know, there are two choices, and it's roll call.
It's roll call time.
Yeah.
It's happening right now.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I've enjoyed having this opportunity to share this with you and to share with you,
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah. Might be a hard message, but it's, you know, tough love.
It doesn't matter whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether I like it or not. It's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
Roll call is happening right now.
This is, in fact, our expression of love for you, because
Yep.
it may sound tough, but we love you. And we're saying this is what you need to do.
You are our brothers and sisters of
In the light, really.
in the of the light. We are family of the light.
Yep.
So so I really wasn't sure how this was going to go
Yeah.
today, but I'm quite pleased with where we went with it. And if you have any comments, if you'd like to post comments, please do that.
Please do.
And when the time is right,
We'll do another.
we'll do another one.
Yeah.
And hopefully it'll disturb you a whole bunch.
Yeah, so hopefully the dark side doesn't ban this or censor this video, but because the message, I think, is really good. So
It's the truth.
yeah, love and blessings
Love and
to all
blessings
of
to you
you.
guys. Absolutely. And we look forward to talking to you in the future at some point.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.